The moment Marcus Hale stepped into the school cafeteria, his world cracked open in a way no motorcycle crash or back alley fight ever had, because there, on the cold tiled floor beneath a table shoved half out of place, was his 8-year-old daughter Lily, quietly picking up fallen scraps of food with shaking hands and eating them like she was invisible, like she didn't matter, like the world had decided she was less than human. And in that instant the roar of his Harley, the years riding with the Hells Angels, the scars and ink and reputation all meant nothing compared to the sound of his own blood pounding in his ears as guilt and rage wrapped around his heart at the same time. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of people coming together to protect the innocent, please take a moment right now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs hope today, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this deserve to be felt far beyond a single screen. Marcus had never wanted this life for Lily, not the small apartment that smelled like oil and old coffee, not the second-hand clothes, not the whispered judgment from parents who saw his leather vest and tattoos before they ever saw the man beneath them. He had tried to make ends meet after Lily's mother passed away, working nights at a repair shop and writing during the day, trusting the school to at least give his daughter safety and dignity while he was gone. But standing there watching her eat from the floor told him everything he needed to know about how badly he had failed to see what was happening right under his nose. The cafeteria was loud and bright, filled with laughter that somehow never reached Lily, and as teachers walked past without noticing and children looked away, Marcus understood that this wasn't a single bad moment but a daily survival routine his daughter had learned out of necessity. He didn't yell or cause a scene, even though his fists clenched so hard his knuckles burned. Instead, he knelt beside Lily, wrapped his arms around her thin shoulders, and carried her out while promising himself something deep and final had shifted inside him. That night, as Lily slept curled on the couch with a borrowed blanket, Marcus rode through the city streets, the engine humming beneath him like an old friend, his thoughts circling the same unbearable question of how hunger could hide in plain sight inside a school meant to protect children. He stopped at the Angels Clubhouse not because he wanted trouble, but because he needed brothers, people who understood loyalty, family, and justice in a way the rest of the world often pretended didn't exist. The Hells Angels had saved Marcus more times than he could count, pulling him out of despair after his wife died, giving him structure when grief nearly swallowed him whole, and when he walked inside that night, bruised emotionally in a way no one could see, they noticed immediately. He didn't ask for violence or revenge, he simply told them what he saw, his voice heavy, his eyes hollow, explaining how his little girl was eating off the floor while adults looked away. The room went quiet in a way that felt sacred, and in that silence each man was transported back to their own childhood wounds, the moments when someone should have stepped in and didn't. Over the next few days, something began to move, quietly and deliberately. Bikers from different chapters started showing up at the school, not roaring in or intimidating anyone, but parking neatly outside and walking in one by one, leather vests clean, boots polished, faces calm and firm. Teachers whispered, administrators panicked, parents stared, but no one caused trouble, and when asked why they were there, the answer was simple and consistent. They were there to volunteer, to observe, to make sure every child was safe, fed, and treated with dignity. They brought donations without cameras or announcements, backpacks filled with food, clothes, and school supplies, enough to stock shelves that had long been bare, and they worked with quiet efficiency that contradicted every stereotype people held about them. Lily, who once shrank into herself, began lifting her head. She ate full meals without fear, knowing someone was watching, someone who cared, someone who would not let her fall through the cracks again. Marcus watched her laugh for the first time in weeks, and it nearly broke him with relief, but the impact spread beyond his daughter as teachers were forced to confront uncomfortable truths about neglect and bias, and children who had been overlooked found themselves noticed and supported. What started as concern for one little girl became a reckoning for an entire system, as the presence of the bikers made it impossible to ignore what had been ignored for years. As weeks passed, over 200 Hells Angels rotated through the school, mentoring kids, fixing broken playground equipment, organizing meal programs, and showing up every single day with consistency that spoke louder than speeches ever could. The same men people crossed the street to avoid were now kneeling to tie shoelaces, handing out lunches, and ensuring no child ever felt unseen again. News eventually spread, but even then the angels stayed focused on the work rather than the recognition, reminding anyone who asked that family wasn't defined by blood or appearances but by who showed up when it mattered most. That if this story is touching your heart right now, if it's reminding you that compassion can come from the most unexpected places, please take a moment to like the video, share it, and let your engagement tell this little girl and countless others that their stories matter. Marcus didn't magically become a perfect father overnight, but he became more present, more aware, determined never again to assume someone else would step in. He worked with the school, not against it, pushing for permanent changes, accountability, and better systems so no child would ever eat from the floor again. Lily grew stronger, not just physically but emotionally, carrying with her the knowledge that she was worth protecting, that a whole family had stood up for her when she needed it most, and that kindness doesn't always wear a friendly face but it always leaves a mark. Just before this video ends, I want you to leave a comment saying, "I see you," if you believe no child should ever feel invisible. Years later, Lily would remember that day not as the moment she was found on the floor, but as the moment she learned how powerful love could be when it refuses to look away. And Marcus would ride on knowing that while he once feared his past defined him, it was ultimately his choice to protect his daughter that redefined everything.